Oh boy. I'm reading a lot of like stupid articles so far, and I just I don't really understand it. Yeah. So anyway, we're going to be talking about a lot of the geek news and stuff. Like, one article, one story I saw, which was talks of Punchline. Is she getting her own comic? One thing I don't understand the character. I read part of the character in the Joker 80th anniversary comic, and I don't get the character. I really don't. I made the joke before where I said she looks like an Asian Harley Quinn Joker cosplayer. Like, she looks like a mixture of Joker and Harley. I know there's people who love the character. There's people who are already cosplaying as the character and just really gets the character and all that. But for me, I just don't get the character. I really don't. So, a new logo for Punchline. Say you don't suppose that. Like the Bat Who laughs that she's getting a comic of her own, created by James Tyan and George Jaimez. I guess that's how you pronounce his name. Punchline first appeared in Batman '89, dubbed as the Princess Clown of Crime. that doesn't sound like original. And the Joker's new partner, real name Alexis. She was a student at the Snyder College. Appropriate how Tyan was a student of Scott Snyder. She was infatuated with the Joker, and he helped her perfect help perfect her own Joker venom, experimenting on the homeless before using it on her own. Dean, hired as a new underboss by the Joker, preparing for coming war against Batman. She was first assigned to stake out on Catwoman, who had gone to dig a Joker lookalike corpse, informed the Joker, held Mercy Graves hostage while the Joker dealt with Lex for using the help of the Batman Who Laughs. In a recent Batman 92, encountered Catwoman and Harley Quinn while working with Underbroker, and the fights latter more to come, blah blah blah. It doesn't really surprise me that they would, I guess, try to capitalize on something that's popular, you know. It really doesn't surprise me. Like I said, like I haven't read any James Tynions Batman run at all. I haven't really read any of it. I really don't. I don't know. I really don't have no interest in it, like, so far. So, if you like it, that's fine. Killer Camp, CW's horror whodunit series, is already our guilty pleasure. I have heard about this show, Killer Camp. I think it's like a game show. It's like a game show of like whodunit, like who's the murderer. I remember they did like a reality series where it was it was created by the guy who did CSI, the guy who created CSI, and it was kind of like Clue. Hey there, good luck. Oh, thank you. And I remember watching it. It looked like, it was a really good show. I love Clue. I'm a huge fan of Clue, and I've heard about this murder mystery series, Killer Camp, and it kind of looks like a mixture of like Friday the 13th meets Survivor. It definitely looks like something straight out of the 80s. So I haven't watched it, but I heard about it. So yeah, like I haven't really watched a lot of television that much, except like reruns of King of the Hill while I'm doing biking. Yesterday I was on the workout bike, and I went like 18 miles and burned off 678 calories. So after I did the show. So, I mean, for me, that's what I've been doing, like. And after that, I was just tired. It was just like, I'm done for the day. So this article kind of piqued my interest real quick. Clive Barker, for those who don't know who Clive Barker is, Clive Barker created the Hellraiser character in the films and stuff, which Hellraiser is kind of like one of those weird, fucked up horror movie franchises. And Clive Barker is suing for the rights of the franchise, and all I can say is it's about time. Like Maybe they'll finally fucking stop putting all those movies out on DVD. Those annoying direct-to-video stuff. Like, I have never in my life seen so many direct-to-video stuff in my life. And it is, like, the most insane thing ever. Like, they keep putting these movies out direct-to-video, and it's like, enough. Like, they're, I mean, I have nothing against people who, release films direct-to-video. Like, Otis is a direct-to-video, and that was a really good film. Like, Daniel Stern, Elila Douglas, I think that's her name, where, they play this parents, and they have a son, and their daughter gets kidnapped, and they rescue her, and they decide to go kill the guy who kidnapped her, and it's like a weird film. Then they kill the brother by accident, the brother who helped the daughter get released, and I think that's how it was. But it was like really one of the most fucked up horror movies I've ever seen. It was a mixture between funny and like, what the hell am I watching? So it was just one of those films that it was actually pretty funny though. Like, and she ends up, like, the daughter reveals like Otis didn't do anything to her, like didn't try anything to do with her, because he just wanted to relive his prom. And it was actually pretty funny though. They played one of my favorite songs by one of my favorite bands in the movie, "Don't Fear the Reaper" by Blue Oyster Cult, which was pretty cool. Yeah, like, I like Blue Oyster Cult. I remember I think they were supposed to play this year at the State Fair, and I wanted to go see them live, because they're like one of the last great rock bands, in my opinion. Like, most people want to go see Rolling Stones or something. Like, for me, I just want to see Blue Oyster Cult. Like, I haven't been to the concerts for a while. Like, last one I went to see was Need to Breathe, when they were promoting Rivers of the Wasteland, which was great album, by the way. So anyway, one of the dumbest things I by far ever seen of articles is this one. Stephen Amell under attack by racism accusers. Everybody's being accused of racism. Stephen Amell is under attack by fans on social media with claims the former Green Arrow actor is racist as a result of the recent protests surrounding the death of George Floyd, incidences as the Black Lives Matter movement, accusations surrounding Danielle Panabaker being racist in relations to Candace Patton having resurfaced. Users on social media are now stating that Stephen Amell is a racist. It's one of those things, like, it's annoying to see this. Like, I pointed this out to somebody, and other people are pointing it out. How I know I'm going to be accused of being a racist. Which is pretty funny, though, because most people who accuse me of being racist are white. like, it's funny, though, because I called Joe Biden Uncle Joe because, Joe Biden's, fucking crazy. I pointed this out, like, how Democrat Party and celebrities are using George Floyd's death as a political, what is the word for it? A political object. You know, like you had health experts, you had politicians saying you can't go to family gatherings, you can't go to funerals, you can't go to public places, you can't go this, you can't go there, you can't go anywhere. But when George Floyd's death and funeral happened, I mean, the man, I think, had 3 funerals, for fuck's sakes. And you had people at a funeral. You had celebrities, you had politicians, you had Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton, of course, is making it a political thing by saying, like, we're taking back the White House. And somehow it was Trump's fault that what happened. Like, somehow it's Trump's fault. Like, can't blame anybody. Well, blame Trump. It's Trump's fault. And I pointed this out, like, you know how fucked up it is? Like, my grandmother's closest, dearest friend died. And, of course, like, my grandmother was very depressed about it. Like, it was one of her best friends that she's known pretty much her entire life. Passed away. She couldn't go to her funeral. At all. She wanted to go to her funeral and say goodbye to her dear friend. But they were like, you can't go to the funeral. There's only a few amount of people, you can't go in. Which really upset her because she wanted to say goodbye to her friend and, you know, and stuff. So she didn't get to go to her funeral. And it aggravates me in a way that they made this whole funeral thing for George Floyd like this big political circus. And, you know, you had celebrities, you had politicians. I think 1/3 of the people, like, were at, you know, George Floyd's funeral is the people that George Floyd knew. I highly doubt George Floyd knew who the fuck Kevin Hart is. Or Al Sharpton. I'm sure he didn't know them personally. But it was so embarrassing to, like, watch it. And they had it on television. Like, they aired it like it was Princess Diana's funeral, which was absolutely ridiculous. Then they had, like, this whole hashtag go vote. You know, vote. You know, and who are you going to vote for? If, you know, they're going to vote Democrat. And it's very disrespectful, I think, to the African American community that you're using someone's death to make them vote. You know, you're playing into their emotions, their feelings. And I always said this to people. Politicians don't give a shit who you are. They don't care what race you are. They don't care what political views you have. They don't care what religious views you have. They don't give a shit about you. They don't like you. They just want to use you. And politicians are a lot like prostitutes. They'll do anything for money. So that's what kind of, like, aggravates me. Like, this whole Black Lives Matter thing, you know, movement. It's an annoying movement that they're accusing people of racism. And the thing about it is, like, the most people who, like, I pointed this also out. White people who accuse other white people of racism, the accusers are most likely the racists. The ones who accuse others of being racist. Like, for me, I don't care what race you are. I really don't. The only thing that matters is if you're a good person and good to others. That's what matters. You know, you could be purple. If you volunteered to help at the food pantry, you're a good person. That's what you are. You know, that's what matters. And them accusing Stephen Amell of being racist is just absolutely ridiculous. And accusing Danielle Panabaker of being racist is, again, absolutely ridiculous. Fans did not like what Amell said on his recently on a podcast, stating, quote, "Racism is a synthetic problem, but I am not as familiar with it just because I haven't seen it in action. Personally, obviously, I seen the video of George Floyd being murdered by a white police officers, and I remember the Trayvon Martin case. And then Trayvon Martin was shot, that case was just like crazy. And all the things that have been happening," he said, "although the most of that for me personally has been overshadowed by gun violence." I don't remember the guy. I watched the George Floyd. The guy, the case of the George Floyd thing, to me, is one thing I really want to know is, I remember I seen a video on Twitter. This woman who was manager of a nightclub or owned a nightclub. I think she managed it. I don't remember. I know she said something about a club. She knew George Floyd and she knew the officer because they both worked security. And she said that they knew each other because they worked security together. And it raised several red flags in my head. If they knew each other and they worked together, what happened in that place? Because I think she said the officer was fired for some incident. And I wondered in my head, what happened between him and George Floyd? Did George Floyd witness that officer do something and said something? It raised several flags in my head of what the fuck happened between those two at that club, and what caused, did it have any connection to what happened, in the video? Several things just I said this, I have in my mind, if you tell me something, I will be doing a complete analyze of everything that you just said. It's like the slash tires incident. My uncle, who, the comic books incident, threw my comics on the porch during a storm and some of them got ruined. His tires got slashed, and no, I did not do it. At that time I was at a party. It happened on a Saturday. No, wait, Saturday it happened. I was in Sullivan, so it didn't happen. I didn't do anything to it. I was in Sullivan at the time. So he accused my cousin of it. And he accused my one cousin of it. And my cousin had drug issues in the past, and he, of course, is clean. And he's trying to get his life in order. And I talk to him every day. I check up on him. I was like, "Hey man, how you doing? You doing all right? You need talk or something?" Because I will always talk to him, and I will always message him and check up on him, and tell him "Hey man, I'm praying for you. I hope everything's going good for you and your wife and your kids and all that." I will always reach out to him and stuff. And my uncle just always accuses him of everything. Something happens, he goes, "He did it," and he accused him of slashing his tires over the fucking Jeep. For those who listen to the show, I talk about the fucking Jeep, and I always say it's idiotic, and stuff. But my uncle pissed off a lot of his neighbors by insulting them, yelling at their kids and shit. I'm pretty sure I know who did it. Like, and he brought up the Jeep. My idiotic step-cousin brought up the Jeep by saying he did it because of the Jeep. And I said, like, if it was about the fucking Jeep, the tires of the Jeep would have been slashed. Like, and I'm doubtful that he would drive all the way up from southern Missouri to come up here to slash tires and go back down there. It'd be kind of fucking dumb. It would be dumb. You know, and then I think then my step-cousin tried to accuse me of it. And I jokingly said, like, if it was me, your Jeep would probably be over an edge of a cliff. Like, and I said to her, like, I was in fucking Sullivan, far away from wherever the hell you live. I don't even know where you live. And second, I don't give a shit about the Jeep. I even wrote it on Facebook. After my comics got destroyed, I said, like, I don't give two shits about that fucking Jeep. You can keep the fucking Jeep. You and Charlie Manson just stay the fuck away from me. And Charlie Manson was a reference to my dad's stepsister. Like, so, anyway, the whole case of the video and the woman saying of George Floyd and the officer that they knew each other and all that, it just raises questions in my head, like, what happened in the past? Did Floyd have any involvement with that officer getting fired from security duty and all that? Like, it just, several questions. The gun violence thing, Democrats and celebrities will always bring up gun violence and guns, you know. You can't take away guns. I mean, shit, look what's happening now. Everybody's buying a fucking gun, so, because everybody's scared shitless what's happening. Alright, and Stephen Amell says, that's the big thing. It's difficult for me to wrap my head around and moving to the States, simply because that doesn't happen in Canada at all, ever. What the fuck does Canada have to do with it? Quick note, Amell is not wrong about gun violence in Canada. Stephen Amell, wife accused of racism. A writer for Image Comics accused Stephen Amell and his wife of being racist by simply stating on Twitter, quote, "Fuck at Stephen Amell. He's showing us his racist ass always for quite a while. And his wife." Oh shit. I will say this. When you pick a fight with a dude, I will say this is a code that there should be a code for a lot of dudes, and it's kind of funny though. It's kind of like an old mafia quote. And of course, like old school dudes will always say this, and I'm one of them. If you pick a fight with a dude, you leave his wife and his kids out of it. You don't bring in the wife or kids. You only pick the fight with the dude that you're pissed off at. You don't ever do that. You don't bring in the wife. You don't bring in the kids. That's the two things you don't ever do when you pick a fight with somebody. You don't bring in the family. You kind of keep it between, you know. This dude kind of crossed the line. And when you accuse, you know, when you go after, I mean, you don't go after a dude's wife by accusing the wife of being something, you know. Also, Grant, and he of course goes on to say, quote, also Grant Gustin is absolved because he definitely didn't support and speak out for Candace. Stephen Amell responded by saying, quote, "You totally nailed me. Hope that makes you feel better. I just followed you. So, if you need something or want help, you want to help me better understand, hit me up and we can chat." Like, shit, I should insult Stephen Amell so he can follow me. I should totally insult him by saying, "You're racist." Like, I don't know. I'm just Fans also weren't happy with both Stephen Amell and Grant Gustin's reaction to the Harley Sawyer getting fired from The Flash over controversial tweets, again with claims the actors are racist. Stephen Amell, of course, responded, what Grant Gustin said. I'll be honest with you, I don't get the whole accusation of racism. I'd never seen Stephen Amell, I never seen any of the actors of The Flash or Arrow ever say anything racist. I mean, of course the Barry Iris fans who love Barry and Iris ship together, ship. They always went at Danielle Panabaker's character and the actress herself now, because they didn't like the whole relationship between the two. It always kind of cracks me. I think that's what it's kind of come down to, because a lot of them that are... Here's one right here. The person who tweeted this, of course, the video of Stephen Amell by saying this quote, is named Peyton West Allen. Iris West, Barry Allen. It's kind of amusing. I think it's obviously kind of dumb to accuse somebody of it, because I think it's just, I think it's personally I think it's just dumb to accuse Stephen Amell of racism. I think it's just dumb, in my opinion. So let's see what's going on with DC Comics and stuff. Anyway. I didn't even know that book came out. Dark Knight's Death Metal #1 came out. I didn't even know that. Kind of shows... kind of shows how I've been kind of out of touch lately with books and stuff. I mean, I just, of course, bought comics for Catwoman 80, Joker 80, Robin 80. I didn't even know that came out. Batman released sooner than you think. Studio puts up for sale. The cancellation of E3 has brought major changes in plans for developers. E3 usually sees the reveal of major video game titles. The recent PlayStation 5 event did see some developers announcing some new titles, which could have been part of the cancelled event. It's reported that Warner Brothers was one of the developers to set up an announcement for some titles at E3. Possible titles include the new Batman video game and the Harry Potter RPG. Batman reveal coming soon. Leaks about the new Batman video game teased 8 months back. Warner Brothers Montreal, developer of the Arkham Origins, which garnered some positive reviews. Internal leaks also hint at the Court of Owls being part of the video game. Warner Brothers many plans to hype up the game's company's first ever E3 reveal. The world pandemic, the Black Lives Matter situation has put some hype on halt for now. The game's most likely released within a few months. With the PlayStation 5 launching, there is no better time. In fact, some reports suggest that the slated release sooner than what you might think. It should be noted that claims have been reported indeed come true, although another game Warner Brothers intended to show at the E3 was either a Harry Potter title. I didn't even know they're making another Harry Potter game. There are chances for an undisclosed project from Rocksteady Studios as well. Although it's super disappointing that it could be looked at these games. WB, of course, WB could push some of the other release sooner. Games look promising given the circumstances. Could we see EA Activision be part of it? I would like to see I do like to see of course the Batman video game, of course, but the Harry Potter one kind of sounds interesting. I mean, I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fanatic, believe me, I'm not, but I would love to see, for me, I would love to see WB do a video game universe. Like, you get to see a Batman video game, then you get to see the Flash, Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Lantern. I would love to see those. I would love to see, but also at the same time, I would love to see it be done differently. I would love to see the people who did Saints Row do the Flash video game, but yeah, I mean, I played Saints Row 4, and it's pretty cool when your character gets to go in super speed, and I was just like, man, this would be such a fun video game if it was the Flash, and I would love to see them do Wonder Woman, God of War type video game, or Brutal Legend, but for me, I would love to see them do Batman, Superman. I mean, if Rocksteady should have just it's kind of weird though, Rocksteady wanting to do Superman, but Warner Brothers just no, which is kind of fucking dumb, because it's it just shows that you don't really believe in your product, and as much as I criticize Superman, and of course I am not the biggest Superman fan, it's sad that they don't believe in the product, and Rocksteady could do an amazing Superman video game, because they seem like they really want to do it, because it's a challenge for them. It's like when Batman, think of the last Batman video game that came out before Arkham Asylum. Think about it. You really can't think of a Batman video game, because a lot of them weren't that great. I mean, Rise of Sinzu was decent, but it was a beat 'em up video game. It wasn't Arkham or Arkham City. A lot of people didn't believe that you could make a good Batman video game until Arkham Asylum came out, and they're like, okay, we could definitely make a good Batman video game. Then they made it better. Then they made it phenomenal. They made a phenomenal trilogy out of the Arkham trilogy for Rocksteady. With Superman, it could be a great challenge for them. I mean, the last Superman video game that was ever made was back in 2006, and that was Superman Returns, the video game. And it was decent, but it just wasn't, it didn't have the full, push for it. It was just a movie tie-in game. If you give, Rocksteady the time and the, right people, I mean, of course they're the right people, but you give them the right, video game engine and stuff to build on, they could definitely make. I mean, if they take, of course, the engine from Arkham Knight and, of course, improve it and stuff for a Superman concept, they can make a really good Superman video game. They really could. I do believe they could, and if they did, I would buy it. I would, But it's just sad that WB just doesn't have the same vision and belief that they could make a good Superman video game. And of course, a lot of people who look at Superman video games, they'd be like, oh, he has all the powers and stuff to beat the game so quickly. It's just like, not really. If you add in like Brainiac, Lex Luthor, make Lex Luthor actually smarter than the one that we've seen in Dawn of Justice. Bizarro, Lobo. You could actually have a good Superman video game to work with. The Flash is simply the same way. I mean, like the Flash video game, man, I would love to see that. A Flash, video game and stuff. But at the same time, it would be very. I mean, like with Superman. To get back to Superman, but a Superman video game, like imagine what you could do with tie-ins, like DLC content. You could have like a Supergirl DLC content. You could have Superboy DLC content. Crypto, Crypto would be fun. But our Comet the Horse, like you could do so many with it. But. I mean, for me, like, I love the DLC content that came with Arkham Knight, like the Catwoman, and same with Arkham City, like you had Catwoman's side mission, and stuff. Like, I love that they incorporate the characters and stuff. Like, for me, like, if you're gonna do another Batman video game, just do it straight up like what you did with Arkham City. Like, you could change characters and roam around the city as one of those characters, and do side missions and like tie it into the main mission and stuff. Like, I would love to see roam around Gotham as Catwoman, or make it multiplayer where you and your friends can roam around Gotham as one of the Bat characters, like, and stuff. Like, I would love to see that. Like, for me, for me, I would love to, see that. But, for me, it's one of those things. Like, I would love to see, DC, knock out of the ballpark with video games like that. Just, have faith in your product. Like, just, like if Rocksteady wants to make a Superman video game, let them, let them make it. One thing I would love to see, when it comes to like the next Batman video game, like it's so cool that you could change your character's costume, like from different bat suits, like, and the same with Catwoman, Nightwing, Robin, Harley Quinn, Jason Todd. I would love to see them do that with all the characters. Like, I would love to, have the Joker change his look, like from regular Joker to like Heath Ledger Joker. Like, I would love to see that. I would love to see that, and stuff. Like, I would love to see that. Like, you could change up your character, not only your character, but you could change up all the characters in the video game. Like, I would love to see that. Like, imagine like you're fighting the Joker, and all of a sudden you could change the Joker, and it could be the Capullo Joker, or it could be the Heath Ledger Joker, or the Cesar Romero Joker, like, or the Jack Nicholson Joker. It'd be like, wait, they get a load of me. I would love to see that. Like, change it up a bit. Like, like the Catwoman one for Arkham Knight was kind of like, it had like 3 different cat suits. It had the Arkham one, it had the purple cat suit, which I love, and it had the Julie Newmar one, and it didn't have any other ones. Like Arkham City, like it had like different kinds of Catwoman suits and stuff, and I was just like, man, I would love to see more. Like, they had so many Robin suits, it was so ridiculous. For me, I was just like, I want to see more Catwoman suits. Like, I would love to have the gray cat suit from like year one in it. Like, it was in Arkham. It was Arkham City, and for me, I was just like, I want to see that one. And it was one of those things. But the one I loved the most in Arkham City was the animated series ones. Like, that was so fucking awesome. And stuff. It was so awesome. Like, you could play as Batman the animated series, and it sounded so right with Kevin Conroy doing the voice of Batman. It was just like, it fits so right in the game, and it felt like, and it was just like, one thing that was like missing was changing the Joker into the animated series Joker, and Harley into the animated Harley Quinn. It was just like, imagine if they did that. It would have been like literally a full-on Batman the Animated Series video game. It just would have been that. It would have been that. And it would have been so right and perfect. You know, it was just, that's the one thing that kind of would have been right. Of course, they announced the Spider-Man Miles Morales Spider-Man video game. It was kind of funny though. My oldest nephew, who is like a diehard Spider-Man fan, was just like, holy shit, they're doing Miles in a video game. I was like, really? He didn't say holy shit, but he was like, holy crap, they're doing Miles. But I kind of knew what he meant. Like, and I was like, really? They're doing that? He goes, yeah, dude, like, Into the Spider-Verse was so awesome. And he was excited for like the Miles Morales Spider-Man video game. He's like, I'm getting a PlayStation 5, I'm getting this video game. I was like, okay, good luck. I was like, if they announce Batman, I'm definitely joining. He's like, no Batman. I was just like, then I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait it out. It was just like, it was funny because so anyway, Suicide Squad video game, reportedly Batman Arkham developers' next release. A Suicide Squad video game reportedly in development at Rocksteady. The UK studio, best known for the Arkham series, reports comes from Kinda Funny Games. Of course, shares insider scoops. According to Imran Khan notes, he heard studios are working on a Suicide Squad video game a few years ago. Not is this simply what he heard, but it was a subject to change. A lot of can change in a few years. Khan added he wouldn't be surprised if the game is a games as a service title. In the words of a game evolve over time into regular updates. Think of Fortnite or Destiny 2. I'll be honest with you, I don't see Rocksteady being that type of video game developer. Like, where they would just do like Fortnite type video games. Like, Rocksteady's kind of like one of those people that, like, they are deep into story. You know what I mean? Like, they're deep into the story. Story. I kind of sound like Canadian. Story. They're deep into the story, and I don't see them like. I'll be honest with you. Like, what the hell is Fortnite even about? Like, what is Destiny 2 about? Like, is there any stories to it? Like, I mean, Fortnite. I know my nephew and niece are really into Fortnite, and I don't know what Fortnite is about. I don't know what the story's about. I basically know, like, you shoot at people and you win. It's like the Players Unknown type game, like that Players Underground or something. I forget that one shooting game, which was so much fun. But I know it's like that, but it's more cartoony, at times. But anyway, if any of this sounds familiar, it's because there's large echoes where we heard in the past Rocksteady's next project. They have been conflicting reports between the property studio is working on Justice League, Superman, Suicide Squad, Red Hood, which Red Hood was fiction, by the way. Fake news on that one. Superman one I've heard so much about, but Justice League I didn't even know. All have been thrown around. Almost all the rumors have reported that have been pointed at a games as a service title, which would be a new endeavor for Rocksteady, but one in line currently the industry trends. Of course, everything has been taken with a grain of salt, not only dealing with the possibilities of outdated information, but nothing here is official. I'm just gonna wait till like DC fandom. That's what I'm waiting on. I'd rather hear what what Rocksteady has to say than than what reports are. So Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio will star Ewan McGregor as Jiminy Cricket. World War Z author Max Brooks, who is the author of World War Z, is now his new book, De-Evolution, is being picked up by Legendary Entertainment for development of a feature film. Of course, for those who don't know, Max Brooks wrote the novel World War Z, which was made into a movie. He wrote a book about Bigfoot, which I've been looking for that book. I haven't found it, so the title of the book, of course, is De-Evolution, the first-hand accounts of the Rainier Sasquatch Massacre. Ironically, concept of Brooks' previous development has been developed in-house by Legendary, but fell out of active development but is reworked into a novel by Brooks. I've been looking for that book, by the way. It's about Bigfoot. I've been it's kind of funny though. I've been talking to my oldest sister and brother-in-law about going squatching, going for a Bigfoot hunt. So I could take a camera and just record them going Bigfoot hunting, because they're going camping. I was just like, oh, we could camp out in the woods. We could go Bigfoot hunting, y'all. Take a camera and go record. Do like a Blair Witch type thing. And my sister's like, hell no. Because she said, when I go camping, I want to be left alone. Go fishing, go hiking, do that. That's what I want to do. I was just like, okay, missing out a fun opportunity to make money, So they're going camping, which is kind of funny, but it's their thing. But I mean, for me, I look forward to seeing the Bigfoot movie, but I want to read the book. When something's based on a book, I want to read the book before I have to, before I see the movie. World War Z, I have never read the book or seen the movie. It was kind of at that time when zombies were sort of going out of style. For me, I after The Walking Dead, I was just kind of zombied out. I was just I'm done. For me, Bigfoot might be the next big money maker for things. At the same time, I don't know, because it's just finding Bigfoot was like was kind of like the big thing now, but yeah. But yeah. I'm looking at these Phantoms and Monsters thing. I haven't been on there for a while, so I'm just going to see what stories they have that kind of sticks out to strange people / humanoid encounter in Tennessee. Alright, I'm going to read this one. I'm going to read about the strange people one. So, anyway. This expression really confuses me. But, any information has been seen similar to the page. Alright. As we are getting closer to the ones that really exist, I seen a tall man stumbled through the crowd of other mall goers. The first time I saw him, I looked away because, to be honest, I thought the man kind of had some disabilities or handicapped. I didn't want to be rude and gawk at him, but then it clicked in my head that something something weird was up with him. He almost looked wet, greasy black hair that was messy, choppy, and shoulder-length. Are they talking about me? I mean, my hair does look greasy at times and messy, but I thought at first it kind of sounded... I thought at first it sounded like me, like, about my hair. And was dressed in kind of a khaki suit that was too big for him. Even he was a tall dude. Okay, it kind of sounds like they're talking about me. Like, I mean, I don't wear a suit. I mean, I wear a big shirt and Tommy Hilfiger jeans or shorts. But damn, dude, like, like, his skin didn't look like it fit him either. Okay, that. Sometimes you don't feel comfortable in your own skin at times, okay? But anyway, it hung on him slightly, like it looked like it wasn't attached to him. The weirdest part was his face. Okay, that's kind of crossing the line. His face, though. And to this day, it really confuses me. Anytime someone looks at me I think they're kind of confused about me. I know it's so weird. But he had 2 black circles for eyes. And 1 black open frown on his face. It looked like he was just solidly blacked out holes with nothing behind them. He had no nose, no eyelids, no eyebrows, teeth, or lips. The fuck? Okay. And the weird thing about it is, like, I want to point this out. At that point, why didn't you just take a picture? I'm just saying, like, you know, you could have just taken a picture. You could have, like... He stumbled past me. My friend and I looked at her. Alright, it stumbled past my friend. I looked at her and I asked if she saw that. But she said no, because she was on her phone. Okay, why didn't you just take a picture of the dude? However, this girl from another group of teenagers in front of us started freaking out, yelling, "Did you fucking see that?" Her friend said no. I looked at her and she looked at me, and I just nodded my head and kept walking because I didn't know what else to do. I don't know if it was a costume, but it looked like what kind of weird costume would that be just to wear it in a mall one afternoon. Like I said, if anyone had any clue of what this is, I would love to hear it. I think about this man all the time, and it still makes me feel a little sick because it just doesn't make sense. Okay. You know what's so weird though is like a lot of people are on their phones, and it's like if you've seen something, why didn't you just take a photo of it? Or you know what I mean? Like if you've seen something, it's just like, why don't you take a photo of it? Like, why not get in on camera or something? Like, everybody's on their phone all the time. It's just like, take a fucking photo. It's just that simple. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things, like, I don't get it. I don't understand people. It's just like if I seen that, I would have been like, I'm getting my fucking camera. And I'm snapping pictures, and I'm snapping a Snapchat photo. I'm just like, showing it to everybody. Like, did you fucking see that? Like, I mean, that's what I would have done, but, you know. I'm one of those people that I don't think anything weird ever comes near me. Except people. Like, I'm one of those people, like, I will figure this shit out. I am like a skeptic, you know. So anyway, yeah, I mean, there's no news today, which kind of sucks, but I mean, no baseball season. Of course, they of course announced that there isn't going to be a baseball season, which really, really disappoints me. It's kind of weird though. It's kind of like they did the draft, the Major League Baseball draft, which is, we certainly make better choices than we did when we had the Rams. I mean, I never seen the Rams make like so many horrible, shitty draft picks, but man, they did it. But there is, sadly, there's no, there hasn't been any, baseball, which kind of sucks. It's kind of weird though, because it's like they're talking about, I think they talked about once about the players' strike, which could happen, I think, next year, but it's so weird though. It's like there's no baseball, there's no hockey, there's no, anything really. But it sucks that there isn't baseball. Like, for me, I love baseball, and it's just it's very weird that there's no Major League Baseball happening. So I've been. It's kind of funny though. I got the MLB Network, and I've been watching like old baseball games, and watching. They did like the coolest thing. They did a documentary about the 1980s Cardinals, which has been so awesome to watch. Like the old Whitey Ball. You had the Ozzie Smith. You had Willie McGee. You had Keith Hernandez. You had Tom Hurd, Jack Clark, Bruce Sutter. It was really like one of those cool, baseball games. Like they worked. Not there wasn't like one player that was like a superstar. They just worked as a team, and it's just like everybody knew who they were. And I'm one of those people that I hope Keith Hernandez gets into the Cardinals Hall of Fame. Like I would love to see him in the Cardinals Hall of Fame with the rest of the 80s Cardinals. Of course a lot of people are going to look, at his problems with, I think, cocaine, and a lot of people are like, no, we can't have him. It's just like, no offense, but it's just like, if you can, I think Mark McGuire's in it. It's like, if you could put McGuire in it, why not Hernandez? Like, Keith Hernandez, I think, is like, one of the best Cardinal players. Even though a lot of people are like, he was great with the Mets. It's like, nah, really, he was a Cardinal. Like, it's kind of like Roger Maris. I don't know how Roger Maris is not in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. That is like the biggest crime. A man who hit 61 home runs, breaking Ruth's record. It's like, how come you're not putting him in the Hall of Fame? I mean, of course he's going to go in as a Yankee. He played for the Cardinals, I think his final year in baseball as a Cardinal. But, he's a legendary Yankee, like the New York Yankees and all that. But it's kind of like one of those odd questions of like, why isn't Roger Maris in the Hall of Fame? It's kind of sad, The same goes like Pete Rose. Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. Shoeless Joe. Joe Jackson should be in the Hall of Fame. Shoeless Joe Jackson, not Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson's dad, but Shoeless Joe Jackson should be in the Hall of Fame. It's one of those things. So, anyway, we're wrapping up the podcast. It's been a good episode. Not much is happening in comic book news. I can't wait for the DC fandom. I can't wait to see what they're going to announce on films, video games, TV shows, comics, all those. Hopefully they'll announce the Batman Catwoman release date at that event. I would love to see them announce it. I think, that book needs to be out. It should be out by now, in my opinion. I can't wait to see what happens in it. In my opinion, I think it's going to be one of the best, probably one of the best comic books of this year. So anyway, I will see you all tomorrow. So I'll probably read one of the Batman comics. I don't know which one. So I will see y'all tomorrow. So y'all be safe, and also check out the I want to say something before we wrap up the show. Check out the Catwoman underline fanfic on Instagram. She recently released 2 art pieces in her comic. It's really spectacular. The artwork's very beautiful. It's the comic for her fanfiction Cat Blood. And it's a really amazing comic art. I highly recommend checking it out. It's really amazing. She did the artwork for the logo for our show, and she's doing her own comic based on her fan fiction story. Check it out. It's really spectacular. The art, it's phenomenal. I love the way she drew Catwoman. It's an amazing art piece. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like Arkham, but also the animated series. It's kind of like that hybrid, which is really spectacular. It also has that bit of anime to it. So check it out. It's on Instagram. It's Catwoman underline fanfic. Amazing comic. Follower. Comment. Give her likes on her. Amazing Catwoman. By far, in my opinion, the best Catwoman fanfiction story and the comic. I can't wait to see what happens. I think it's gonna be it's gonna be phenomenal. It's gonna be, one of the best, I think, in my opinion. So you're welcome. So check it out. It's amazing. I will share it on Instagram on the story. It's gonna be a phenomenal book in my opinion. So check it out. Show the comic some love, and I think that's what we need to do. We need to support like the artists, writers that aren't with big comic book companies, because in my opinion, and this isn't a knock at DC, I'm a DC fan, but a lot of the writers, artists of comics aren't making, in my opinion, they're not making any originality. Like, they're not making anything original, something unique, something that stands out, in my opinion. I mean, that's my opinion of it. We need, like, Cat Blood. We need stories like that. We need originality. We need something, that, Bastet, she's including Bastet, which is the cat goddess in Egypt, which is really cool. It's like, it's adding in something that is, in ancient Egypt history into a story. And that's the thing about it. It's like, there's, that is really cool in my opinion. And that is really awesome because, a lot of these, like, Kamazat and, the Mayan Batman, which is cool. You're adding stuff that is so unique and something that makes people go like, oh, that's cool, that's original into the book. You don't see that with DC comic writers. You don't see that with Marvel writers. You don't see that with artists. You don't see anything, original, something new. You're just seeing like some of the, stuff that sort of like takes away something interesting in the story. And unfortunately, like with Batman, there's nothing new to it. It's just like the same old. It just, and I think that's why I haven't bought Batman comics since Tom King left, was just like there's nothing new. It's like it feels so different. As odd as it sounds, is like when Tom King and Clayman left the Batman book, like when they brought in the new writer and new artist, it just felt like a totally different book, in my opinion. It felt so different, and it just doesn't feel like the same book. It's like, it's hard to believe like it's the same comic series. Like it feels like they just picked up from like where Detective Comics, where they were having their run, and just brought it into like the Batman, like it's kind of weird though. It's kind of like that way with the Catwoman comics. Like after Joelle Jones left, it just felt so different. Like and I talked about Joelle Jones's run, like how much I love the run on Catwoman, how she made Selena Kyle vulnerable, and you got to see the vulnerable side of Selena Kyle and stuff, which is something that is amazing. And I think that's what people liked about Tom King and Joelle Jones's run on Batman and Catwoman, is that they made them human. Like they had the human vulnerability and insecurities and emotions and stuff. Like that's part of character building. And that's what I love about like Cat Blood and stuff. Like you got to see the vulnerable side of Selena, the human side of her, but also you get to see the strong side of her. And that's what I love about this story of Cat Blood. I think it's amazing. The comic, like I said, it looks it's an amazing comic. Um, Pages and stuff. Like I said, when you look at it, it kind of has that uh, Arkham, side to it, the animated, side, but it also had, the anime side, and I can't wait to see what happens. I know in her story, Hush is in it. I can't wait to see how she draws Hush. Um, you know, Basset, the cat goddess. I can't wait to see how she draws that. I can't wait to see what happens. And I know Alfred is in it, if I remember correctly. Alfred and the Batcave. I can't wait to see how she draws the Batcave. Hope the giant penny's in it in the background. uh, I can't wait to see what happens in the comics. So check it out. Follow the page. It's amazing. It's on Instagram at cat_fanfic. So check it out, and I will see you all tomorrow. And everyone be safe, and see you tomorrow. And I think we'll read a Batman comic, something interesting. So check out the Instagram page, Catwoman Fanfic, and I'll see you all tomorrow. And read the comic and read the fan fiction story on that page. So see y'all tomorrow.